Namaskar everyone, today I, Shreyansh Tiwari, aka I Love History 456, will explain to you the history of the country, which was the most richest country for the maximum time in history, the world's oldest continuous civilization, which reshaped the world and faced the most invasions, India, or Bharat, or Hindustan, and a lot more names. There are a lot of places to start. The city of Varanasi, aka Kashi, is said to be 5,000 years old. Dwarka said to be 10,000 years old according to carbon dating. But we shall start from the Sindhu Saraswati civilization, or the Indus Valley civilization. It is said to have started from 3300 BCE to 2800 BCE, but there are evidences of it being more than 10,000 years old. It was not just any civilization, it was really advanced. It had planned streets, drainage systems, and advanced architecture and whatnot, greater than any other civilization of its time. It also traded a lot with the other civilizations, like Mesopotamia, Iran, and likely China, Egypt, and Greece. Though this civilization ended as the Saraswati River dried up and people moved east and south, spreading all across the subcontinent. After this, the Vedic Age starts. A lot of impactful books about how to live life, gods, and whatnot were written. Also, a lot of kingdoms formed, but the most powerful ones were called the Mahajanapadas. But one kingdom, Magad, rose exponentially and expanded rapidly under the Haryana dynasty, in which the rulers Bimbisara, the founder, and his son Ajatasattu contributed the most. During this century, Lord Mahavira and Lord Buddha also lived. These two are the most prominent figures in Jainism and Buddhism respectively. But then, the Shishunaga dynasty takes over Magad, replacing the Haryana dynasty. But the Shishunagas were also replaced by the Nanda dynasty, founded by Mahapadmananda, who was great, but his son Dhanananda was really flawed and arrogant. He disrespected Chanakya, one of the most smartest people, if not the smartest person ever in history. Chanakya was a Brahmin teacher, but he wanted revenge of his insult, so he began preparing one of his students, Chandragupta Maurya, to become the king in the future. Meanwhile, Alexander the Macedonian had come to Indus River. He fought Porus. It's debated whether who won or who lost. But then Alexander died in 323 BCE. Chandragupta and Chanakya seized the opportunity and started inspiring people to not be under the Greeks and unite. And the two actually became really popular, and just after 1 year defeated Dhanananda, destroying the Nanda Empire and forming the Mauryan Empire on its place. Chandragupta Maurya as the king, guided by Acharya Chanakya. But now there were border skirmishes with the new great power in the west, the Seleucid Empire, ruled by Seleucid Nicator. The Mauryans and the Seleucid had skirmishes on their borders for 2 years, from 305 BCE to 303 BCE, but in the end they came into an agreement. Chandragupta Maurya was handed over large territories of the Seleucid Empire, and in exchange the Seleucid Empire got 500 war elephants, and Chandragupta Maurya married Seleucus Nicator's daughter. Chandragupta Maurya conquered much of India. After him came his son Bindusara. After Bindusara, his sons fought for a while, but Ashoka came on top. Ashoka expanded the empire more. Smaller kingdoms recognized suzerainty of the Mauryans. But one kingdom, Kalinga, defied the Mauryans, so Ashoka invaded and annexed it. After that, he focused more on his people and economy and spread Indian culture all over the world. That's why he's also known as Ashoka the Great and has many titles. though after him a lot of suboptimal kings came and went. Brihadratha Maurya, the last Mauryan king, was eliminated publicly by the Mauryan head of army, Senapati Pushyamitra Shunga, who was great as well. The Satvahana Empire also forms. At the time, Satvahanas dominated the Deccan. The Indo-Greek kingdom in the west attacked the Shunga Empire often. Pushyamitra Shunga handled them pretty well, but after him, Shunga started to decline a little, and were later overthrown by the Kannavas in 73 BCE. Mahameghavanha Kalinga controlled much of the east coast, while the Indo-Greeks declined because of the Indo-Scythians or Shakas who were defeating them. But later the Indo-Scythians also got defeated by the Indo-Parthians, who then also got defeated and annexed by the Kushan Empire. The greatest Kushan king, Kanishka the Great, conquered much of India and spread its culture all over the world like Ashoka did, as the Kushan Empire had control of the Silk Route. The Kushanas also gradually declined like every other empire does. Vindhya Shakti formed the Vakataka Empire, but his successor Pravarasena was the greatest of the dynasty, who expanded and controlled much of the Deccan. In 240 CE, the Gupta Empire was founded by Sri Gupta, but later in 319, Chandragupta made it stronger. But after him, Samudragupta came and conquered half of the subcontinent. His son Vikramaditya Gupta consolidated the Gupta Empire and made an alliance with the Vakatakas. The Gupta Empire's time was also known as the Golden Age of India, as India was the most prosperous at this time. India had 40% of the global GDP, and not only in wealth was India ahead, also in military and in science and technology as well. Aryabhat, one of the most greatest mathematicians and scientists in the world history, he introduced many concepts. He calculated the value of pi, the length of the ear. He said that the moon reflects sunlight. He invented zero as well. And he did a lot more, as you can see on the screen. The science and maths which we know today would of course not be the same without him. Such a great man. But from the year 490 to 515, the Alkan Huns invaded the Gupta Empire a lot, causing it to decline a lot. The Huns were then destroyed in 544 by Yashodharman, the king of Malwa. But after him he had no good successor, so his empire broke into pieces. The Vakatakas and the Guptas soon ended as well. Now India was divided in small kingdoms, but was united by a great king, Harshavardhan, who conquered half of the subcontinent and made it more prosperous. He also had great relations with China. Meanwhile, the Chalukyas too rose to power and dominated the Deccan. Harsha's empire after his death crumbles into pieces. Meanwhile, the Pallava kingdom gets free of the Chalukya Empire, and the two constantly fight each other. It's now the 700s, but now India was getting threatened by the Umayyad Caliphate, which had barbarically destroyed Iran's culture and did the same with the modern-day regions of Balochistan and Afghanistan. But in the year 724, Lalitaditya Muktipid of the Karkota dynasty ruling Kashmir becomes king. He defeats Tibet, allies with Tang China, conquers much of northern India. Bappa Raval becomes the king of Mewar, while Nagabhatta forms the Gurjar Pratihara dynasty of Malwa. Then almost all of India forms an alliance and repels the Umayyads out of India. But even after everyone stopped and made a treaty with the Umayyads, Lalitaditya conquered till the Aral Sea, before mysteriously dying in the year 750. The Umayyad Caliphate also ended in 750. Now starts the Tripartite Struggle of Kannauj, between the newly founded three strong powers, the Gurjara Pratiharas, Palas and Rashtrakuts, as Kannauj was a really important and strategical city. The Gurjaras and Palas fight, but Rashtrakuts take advantage of the situation and take over Kannauj, but have to withdraw due to problems in the south. The same exact situation, repeats again. The Palas and the Gurjars fight again. Rashtrakuts don't interfere this time. Pala controls Kannauj temporarily, but at last the Gurjars take it and win the Tripartite Struggle for Kannauj. The Gurjars though broke into pieces after this. The Rashtrakuts get replaced by Western Chalukya dynasty, and in the northwest the Ghaznavids form a barbaric kingdom, destroying temples and culture wherever they conquer. But in the far south, Rajraj Chola, the ruler of the Chola Empire, consolidated and made it really strong and took over the Cheras, Lanka, Maldives and defeated the western Chalukyas. But then his son Rajendra Chola conquered north till the Magad region, and after that much of Southeast Asia with his navy, becoming the master of the sea and trade routes as well. Meanwhile, Raja Bhoja, the emperor of Malwa, made Malwa really prosperous and strong and is known as a great king. The Ghurid Sultanate, formed by Muhammad Ghori, takes over the Ghaznavids, then tries to invade India but is smashed and captured by the Rajput Chohan dynasty king Prathviraj Chohan. But Prathviraj Chohan forgives him due to his morals and dharma. But Muhammad Ghori returns stronger and defeats Prathviraj and captures him and his best friend Chand Bardai. The duo is tortured a lot. Meanwhile, Ghori conquers much of the Ganga plains. But later in a tournament, the blinded Prathviraj Chohan killed Muhammad Ghori under the guidance of his best friend Chand Bardai. The Ghurid Sultanate ends because of this, and the Mamluk or the slave Delhi Sultanate is formed. Non-Muslims, primarily Hindus, faced heavy restrictions and their deities and temples were destroyed. The Mamluks were defeated several times in raids by the Mughal Empire. Later, the Mamluks were overthrown by the Khilji dynasty, who formed the Khilji Delhi Sultanate. The Khilji Sultanate, under the barbarian Alauddin Khilji, conquered much of Rajputana, Gujarat, and annexed the Yadavas, who ruled the Deccan region. But he plundered the populations and destroyed many temples. But then the Khilji Sultanate was ended by Ghiat al-Din Tughlaq, a Khilji general who overthrew the Khiljis and formed the Tughlaq Sultanate. Then his son Muhammad bin Tughlaq subjugated the Kakatiyas, Warangal, Hoysala and much of the northern Pandyan territories. They were barbaric as well. They destroyed many temples. Their soldiers killed, raped, converted most non-Muslims, mainly Hindus of course. But after Tughlaq died, Tughlaqs lost control over much of their previously conquered territories. The Vijayanagar Empire is formed by Harihara, who was previously converted into Islam, but he converted back into his original religion, Hinduism. After Harihara, Bukharaya expands the Vijayanagar Empire significantly. Meanwhile, the Tughlaq Sultanate, already in decline, gets invaded by the Timurid Empire in 1399, further weakening it. Then the Tughlaqs get replaced by the Sayyid dynasty. But the Sayyids are then replaced by the Lodhi Delhi Sultanate in 1451. The Vijayanagar Empire is at its prosperous peak right now. Under Krishna Dev Rai, Tenali Raman too becomes a best friend and advisor to Krishna Dev Rai. Many renowned and famous stories are there of them. Meanwhile, in the north, Maharana Sangha of Mewar unites all Rajputs and defeats the Lodhi Sultanate many times. But later, in the First Battle of Panipat, the Lodhi Sultanate is defeated and annexed by Timurid Kabul, which becomes the Mughal Empire under Babur. They also managed to defeat Maharana Sanga due to having superior technology like cannons. Sher Shah Suri forms the Sur Empire, first taking over the Bengal Sultanate, then defeating the Mughals under Humayun. Humayun had to flee to Safavid Iran for his life. Unfortunately, Sher Shah Suri died in an accidental gunpowder explosion. Humayun comes back with the help of Safavid Iran to take back his lost empire. But he dies, and his son Akbar becomes king and defeats the Sur Empire. But a Sur minister and great general, Raja Hemu, establishes his empire, which causes the second battle of Panipat, in which unfortunately Raja Hemu loses and dies. Akbar annexes his empire under the Mughals. The Mughals under Akbar were at their prosperous peak, as Akbar was comparatively more moderate and would make his defeated enemies his vassals or allies instead of killing them. All Rajput states ally or became a vassal under the Mughals, except for Maharana Pratap, the great grandson of Maharana Sanga and now the king of Mewar. He resisted the Mughals a lot. He is known to be the tallest and the most powerful king physically in history. One of his most famous battles is the Battle of Haldi Ghati, in which his horse Chetak, who he loved dearly, saved his life but unfortunately died. He continues resisting the Mughals bravely until his death in 1597. Only then the Mughals could take over Mewar. The Battle of Talikota, 1565. A coalition of the Deccan Sultanates, Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, and Bidar, united against Vijayanagar Empire, who was led by Rama Raya. The Vijayanagar Empire unfortunately lost, and Rama Raya was executed. Akbar's son Jahangir becomes the ruler of the Mughals, and after him Shah Jahan, who is said to have built or stole the Taj Mahal. But he is imprisoned by his own son Aurangzeb, who becomes the king of the Mughals. And by the way, he also killed most of his brothers and competitors. Aurangzeb was one of the most barbaric kings ever. Under his rule, many of the main Hindu temples like in Somnath and Mathura were destroyed, and Hindu populations were plundered in large numbers. And non-Sunni Muslims suffered a lot as well. The death toll is in millions, and suffering and oppression way more. In 1645, after so many years of plundering and suppression of Hindus, Shivaji Maharaj takes an oath to build the Hindavi Swaraj, the rule of the Hindus, and in the following year captures his first fort. He then carved out a kingdom using his extraordinary mind, skills, techniques, and revolutionized Indian warfare. He used guerrilla warfare a lot as he had less numbers in almost all of his battles. He defeated the Bijapur Sultanate and the Mughals many times and annexed a lot of their areas. He only got defeated once by a Rajput Mughal king general, Mirza Raja Jai Singh. In the treaty, Shivaji Maharaj had to give a few forts, and he and his son were called to Agra in Aurangzeb's Darbar, where they were insulted and cheatingly arrested. But Shivaji and his son, Sambhaji, cleverly escaped and returned home, from where they regained their losses and became stronger than ever. Also, Shivaji got coronated officially as king in 1674, becoming Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, but he dies in 1680 at the age of 50. Taking advantage of the situation, Aurangzeb, the barbaric Mughal ruler, himself comes south to the Deccan to defeat and crush the Hindavi Swarajya, or the Maratha Empire. But now they were led by Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. He led an army 10 times smaller than of Aurangzeb, yet he still resisted and won every battle he fought for 8 years. But then Sambhaji Maharaj's location was disclosed to the Mughals by a trader, which caused his capture in 1689, after which he and his best friend Kavi Kalash were tortured for 40 days in undescribable ways before finally killing them. But even after Sambhaji Maharaj's death and later Aurangzeb's death, the Marathas and the Mughals continued to fight until Baji Rao became the Peshwa of the Marathas in 1720, after which just in 20 years he completely destroyed the Mughals and made them a small weak Maratha vassal. He also defeated all surrounding kingdoms and made them puppets, but after his death they all got sovereignty. In 1757, the Durrani Empire under barbarian Abdali invades India but is crushed by the Marathas, who take over till Peshawar. Meanwhile, the British East India Company takes over the Bengal Sultanate after the Battle of Plassey. In 1761, the Marathas, due to overconfidence, were defeated by Abdali and lost control for a while, but came back to their peak again and defeated the British as well in 1775. Meanwhile, Hyder Ali and his son Tipu Sultan defeated the British many times until Tipu lost and died in battle in 1799. The Gorkha Empire spreads all across the Himalayas, but later on is defeated in 1816 by the British, and then it becomes Nepal. Maharaja Ranjit Singh founded the Sikh Empire, uniting all of the Sikh confederates and making Lahore his capital. He built a very powerful and modern army that secured Punjab and kept the British out during his lifetime. He also defeated the Durrani Empire many times. But after his death in 1839, internal conflicts weakened the empire, leading to British annexation in 1849. Gradually, other small kingdoms were defeated and came under the British East India Company, and a lot of them became princely states, meaning the rulers would keep ruling but their land would be under the suzerainty of the British, means they were semi-autonomous regions. In 1857, a lot of the princely states revolted against the British as the British were becoming harsher and repeatedly tried to annex many princely states with new policies. Even normal people suffered a lot. The revolt went on till 1859 until it was defeated by the British. Prominent leaders of the revolt were Rani Lakshmibai, Nana Sahib and Bahadur Shah Zafar. The British Crown took over from the EIC, and this made the British Raj. Indians faced ruthless exploitation where wealth was drained and lives were broken by harsh policies. Famine, forced taxes, and loss of freedom made everyday survival a struggle under British rule. Many freedom fighters emerged to bring freedom for India. There were mainly three types of freedom fighters in India. Moderates, who believed India could get independence in peaceful ways, like by talks with the British, peaceful protests, or doing fasts. Then we have the radicals. They believed in harsher ways like boycott of British goods and not doing British jobs. Examples: Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Lala Lajpat Rai, and Bipin Chandra Pal. Lastly, the revolutionaries were the ones who believed that only force and fighting could liberate India. Examples: Ram Prasad Bismil, Chandrasekhar Azad, Bhagat Singh, Surya Sen, and many more. Gandhi. He was a leader of India's freedom movement who used non-violence tactics against the British rule. He later became the main face of India's independence struggle, but also did many controversial things. Jawaharlal Nehru was one of his close companions who would later become the first Prime Minister of independent India. In the 1893 Chicago Conference, Swami Vivekananda gives a speech. He made the world respect Indian philosophy by doing so. His biggest achievement was spreading Vedanta globally, and he is a very respected figure in Indian history. Another guy during this time, Srinivasa Ramanujan. He was a self-taught math genius who discovered many important formulas. His biggest achievement was changing modern number theory. Maths wouldn't be the same as of today without him. Veer Savarkar, who spent 27 years in jail for India, he emerged as a prominent leader of the Hindu Mahasabha. He spread his concept of India as a undivided Hindu Rashtra. In both world wars, Indian soldiers fought for the British. In both wars, the British promised Indians that if they fought for them, they would get independence. But the British didn't keep their promises. In the Second World War, Netaji Subhash Bose created the Azad Hind Force by Indian soldiers which were captured by the Axis powers. He allied with the Japanese Empire and tried to liberate India, but unfortunately failed as Japan was defeated in the World War. But the British had weakened after the World War and couldn't afford to control India anymore. As well, the freedom movement had become stronger than ever. But the British, before leaving, divided India into two parts, India for the Hindus and Pakistan for the Muslims. Pakistan was created on 14th August 1947. On the next day, 15th August 1947, India was created. The 560 plus princely states were given three options: stay independent, join Pakistan, or join India. Most of them joined India under the leadership of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Meanwhile, Pakistan brutally invades and occupies the princely states and annexes them. Kashmir wanted to join India, but is invaded by Pakistan. Kashmir then officially joins India, and India pushes the Pakistanis back, but then a ceasefire is declared. In 1950, India officially becomes the Republic of India as its constitution is implemented. Before Islamic invasions, India had 30 to 40% of the world's GDP. Before the British arrived, around 25%, but now it had only 2 to 3%. India had a long way to go. India remains neutral throughout the Cold War, but fought some wars as well. In 1962, with China, in which India lost. In 1965, with Pakistan, India won despite Pakistan having superior military. In 1967, India wins a few battles against China. In 1971, Pakistan had oppressed the Bengali population in East Pakistan, forcing its language Urdu on them, genocided millions of them as well. The Mukti Bahini forms to liberate the country. India provided help to them. Because of this, Pakistan declared war on India, but lost, causing East Pakistan to become a separate country, Bangladesh. In 1974, India conducts its first nuclear test and succeeds. After economic reforms in the 1990s, India's economy's growth increases. It further increases more after 2014, when Modi becomes the PM of India, and he currently still is as of 2026. In 2026, India becomes the fourth largest economy and is also the fourth strongest military power since 2006. India continues growing as a nation and a civilization.